Well, Dan, let me say thank you for the surplus that you've given the state of Texas. I wish we could say the same thing about the Congress, but we can't. And Speaker Pelosi sends her vest from her broom as she was riding over him. I gotta tell you, this is one of the hardest jobs. Having to deal with Barney Frank, Charlie Rangel, Nancy Pelosi, where the inmates are literally running the jail. That is what is happening. And we got to take this country back, and that's what y'all are a part of. You're the patriots to take this country back to what our founding fathers stood for. And as we sit here on the 4th of July, we acknowledge the service of those great heroes that stood before us. I'm a proud son of the American Revolution. My great-great-great-grandfather was from Virginia and fortunately fought on the right side. For the Americans against tyranny, oppression, and taxes. And they had a little party called the Tea Party. And it was all about taxes, and that's still the issue today. As we look at tyranny in Washington, as we look at government intervention, government takeover of financial institutions, as we look at government takeover of our auto industry, as we look at government takeover of our health care, getting between you and your doctor. And let me say, I was proud to vote last week against the cap and tax bill. That's good fun for y'all because I know you don't support a national energy tax. It is the worst thing at exactly the worst time for this country. National Association of Manufacturers said 2.5 million jobs will be lost because of this legislation. And it amounts to a national energy tax on every working family. And once again, Wall Street's going to prosper by trading these commodities, while Main Street takes it in the back. And you know what? Perhaps one of the proudest votes I have on record is when I stood up to my own leadership and my own president and said no to the bailout. And there are people who disagree with me on that issue, but I think history will record that as the right vote, at the right time. Look at the mess. Look at the mess. Since the first bailout, we have spent $8 trillion. You know, $1 trillion, it's hard to even fathom what that means, but it's $1 billion a day for the next 3,000 years. I mean, $1 trillion, if you spend $1 million a day from the day that Christ was born, you still wouldn't spend $1 trillion. And we're throwing it around like it's paper. I got this great dollar bill. It's got Mr. Obama's picture on it. And it says $1 trillion bailout. Keep the change. Keep the change, Mr. Obama. Let me throw it. That's about what it's worth. That is what it's worth. If we keep printing this money, it will be only worth the paper it's printed on. Even the president of the EU said you were going down the wrong path. I don't take advice from the president of the EU very often, but he's right about that. He's right about that. And this, ma'am, thank you for your sign. This is the United States of America, not Europe. Now, I was a history major, and last time I checked, we actually declared independence from Europe. That's what today is all about, is our declaration of independence from tyranny, from government, and from taxation. That's what today symbolizes for us as Americans. And America needs to take back this country, this great country of ours. And what they think, Charlie Rangel, Speaker Pelosi, they think that the Europeans have it right. The Europeans are just so smart. You know, we Americans just don't really understand. We're just not really all that smart. And let's blame America for all the problems while we're at it. And let's bring the terrorists from Guantanamo into the United States. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, they truly believe that the European model is the model for success for the United States. Well, I disagree, and that's what this fight is all about. And I will continue to fight with you in our American values and principles against this European socialism model that they are trying to import right here in the United States. Whether it be the bailout, whether it be your health care, whether it be taking over the energy industry, whether it be taxing, raising your taxes. And I will stand against that. And like Dan, I got a couple of quotes. When you really study the Founding Fathers, you realize that they didn't trust government. They didn't really like government a whole lot. In fact, they fought for government. Those are the principles that this nation was founded upon. And that was for good reason that they didn't trust government. We have one of the most massive government intrusions into the private sector in the history of this country. There is no more critical time than right now in the fight that is going on in Washington. And I need your help. I need your support. I need your help in this battle, and I want to thank all of you for being here. But when we look at what Jefferson had to say, I think Dan actually stole the quote I was going to use, but I'll say it anyway. First of all, you know what? This is great. This is, the best indictment of President Obama I've seen. He says, under my plan of cap and trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket. That's in his words. And will be passed on to the consumers. That's the president talking to the San Francisco Nancy Pelosi's newspaper. You know, I got a good idea too. Why don't we take those terrorists in Guantanamo and put them in Nancy Pelosi's district? Because Alex we're already paying for it. It's surrounded by sharks. There's a prison right there. And it's in her district. It's perfect.
Not easier solution.
Absolutely perfect. But let me say this. One of the, I think, most chilling experiences I've had as a member of Congress was to go down to Guantanamo and to see the mastermind of 9/11, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who killed 3,000 Americans, as he laid over his prayer rug, laid prostrate to Mecca. It was one of the most chilling sights I've ever seen. We have not broken their spirit. They are down there, and these are not nice people. And we should be bringing them into the United States. And we ought to fight them over there.
That's right.
Last 4th of July, one of the greatest honors I had was to spend the 4th of July with our troops in Afghanistan. And I just can't tell you how proud I am of what they're doing right now in harm's way, truly fighting the terrorists who want to do us harm. And there's a reason why we haven't been hit since 9/11. It's because we got good intelligence. And you know what? For the speaker to blame our intelligence community and say that they lied to her is an insult to great American patriots and heroes who have protected all of our lives. How dare she say that? It's an insult not only to our intelligence community, but to our soldiers and serving abroad. But if I could just deal with Jefferson, because I think it's all about government control in our lives. It's all about taxation. It's all about the very ideals our founding fathers stood up against. It's all about the Declaration of Independence. It's all about the 4th of July. It's all about being American. This is a battle for the heart and soul of America right now. Jefferson said the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity under the name of funding is but swindling our future on a large scale. Does that sound familiar? When we're talking about $8 trillion in spending, Jefferson said we must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. That is precisely what Nancy Pelosi is doing. And this president, mountains of debt for future generations. We have an $11.5 trillion national debt. You should be angry about this. Well, I know I am. We're angry in the Congress, but we're in the minority. We need to take that majority back, and we need to throw Nancy Pelosi at those people. Yeah! Fly back on our broom to San Francisco and not bring San Francisco politics to the rest of the nation. Right. Finally, Jefferson, this was, and Dan read this, but it was one of the greatest quotes I thought, when he says democracy This is our founding father, the man who wrote the Declaration of Independence. Democracy will cease to exist when you take away from those who are willing to work and give to those who would not. My friends, that's socialism. And Jefferson was right. This is not Europe. This is the United States of America. And we need to keep it that way. Thank you so much.